Hello and welcome to episode number 65 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk all about the hobby that makes us happy, tabletop gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Dan.
And I'm Jim. And today, Dan, I don't know if you know this, but we're talking all about Lorcana.
All right. So, we've talked a little bit about Lorcana, but you know what? Before we get into the podcast today, we got to talk about our sponsor, Amazon Audible. If you head over to our affiliate link at www.audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness, you can follow that link, sign up for a free 30-day trial of Amazon's Audible. Jim, you like listening to audiobooks?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. I enjoy
when it's free.
That is when I love even doing it more. Because when I get a free book, because you know what? When you sign up for a free 30-day trial, you get a free audiobook. Free audiobook. And we've talked a little bit about some Gary Vaynerchuk books. Yeah. You know my favorite thing about listening to a Gary Vaynerchuk book?
What's that?
Is listening to Gary Vaynerchuk read a Gary Vaynerchuk book. So if you've actually never checked out any of Gary V's books, he does have a few on Amazon's Audible service. Mm-hmm. So if you follow that link down in the description, or if you're listening, check the show notes. You can follow that link to sign up for a free 30-day trial of Amazon's Audible. Get that free book added to your account. And you know what? If you don't like the service at the end of the 30 days, you can cancel, but you get to keep that free book. Yeah. And you know what? If you have Amazon Prime, you actually get two free credits, so you can add those to your account. And again, if you want to cancel, you can cancel it at the end of the 30 days, but you get to keep those credits on your account. So check the link in the description, follow that, and sign up for your free 30-day trial today. All right, so we are talking again all about Disney Lorcana. Now, before we jump into, we've at this point, we've done a couple of videos about Disney Lorcana. We did everything we know so far about Lorcana. If you're watching, we're gonna link all these videos in the description, so you can check that here. And we also did a card analysis. Analysis is in air quotes because
100% correct.
Yeah, we talked about what we think we know about the cards. Yeah. Again, being TCG and CCG players, we think we've got a pretty good handle on what we think the game does. However, the fact that there's no rule set, makes analyzing the cards a little difficult.
We don't know how they work exactly.
Yeah. But we were given a lot. We're given quite a bit of information from the cards themselves. So we felt like we were able to infer quite a bit of information from them. So if you haven't yet, go check out those videos. We're going to touch on the cards a little bit in this episode of the podcast. But like I said, we kind of dove really deeply, as deep as we could, into the cards themselves in a separate video. So, all right. So again, if you don't know, Disney is making a trading card game. So Jim, how did you first find out about it? Did you just see the link that I sent you, or is that how you first found out about it? So what ran through your mind when you saw that?
I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I saw Elsa was there. I'm like, sign me up. I'm playing it. I didn't like really think it was going to be great, but I thought, I'm like, hey, they're finally going to have a competitive card game with the Disney IP, okay? Not a casual game. So I'm like, I can't wait to play this.
If you don't understand that reference, just go watch like literally any of our Disney Villainous content.
Yeah, our last Disney Villainous thing.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing, and Jim, I don't know if you know this, but before this, Disney actually had a card game, a physical card. A game is in quotes, okay? And so actually what it was is in the parks in Disney World, the parks in Disney World. So what you would do is when you would go there, you'd have to go to this one specific location in Magic Kingdom.
It was an IRL exclusive?
It was an IRL exclusive, yeah. So there was this one particular location in Magic Kingdom, and I remember doing this actually with my brother-in-law a couple of years ago, because I'm like, oh, wait, there's cards?
Yeah.
Sign me up. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's go. And it was kind of cool because what they did was they gave you these cards and then you had to find specific locations within the park and then like show the card to a mural and like it came to life. It was all about storytelling.
Yeah, I don't think this counts as the same thing.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It definitely
I thought it was going to
doesn't.
be like, you go to this random location and they give you a starter deck.
Yeah.
And from there, that's the faction you're a part of.
Yeah.
And you have to battle other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but it was just like you go to different locations through the park with these, and then you show certain cars and you get more.
Okay.
It was kind of neat, but it wasn't a card game in the sense of a traditional like TCG or CCG
it was
by
like
any means.
Augmenting reality.
Yes, correct. But there were cards to collect. There were physical cards to collect. So because of that, I'm like, all right, sign me up. You know, there's cards. I'm on board. I'm on board.
Yeah.
So Disney's done this kind of before. That's why I say kind of, right?
Kind of. Okay.
So if I'm curious, okay, if you guys are listening or watching this, if you've ever seen that, let us know in the comments or shoot us an email. Interested to know if anyone in our audience has experienced that before.
Or if you have those cards.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what I did.
sick.
I don't know what I did with them. Actually, you know what? I need to talk to Michael because I'm sure Michael probably has them somewhere. To be honest with you.
He loves card games.
Yeah, right. All right. So the first time I found out about this, there was an article. I think I saw this article from Polygon. It's probably from Polygon that I sent you. And so after reading the article, the first thing I found out, I found was it was Ravensburger. Okay, so the same people who have done Disney Villainous. Okay, so there's already an existing relationship, right, between Disney and Ravensburger. And a thing that I've mentioned in our Everything We Know About Lorcana video was before Star Wars Villainous came out. Okay, they sold 3 million copies of, I think, Disney and Marvel Villainous combined, I believe. So 3 million units is that's not a number to shy from, because that's a big number, right? And what that shows is Villainous was a popular game from Ravensburger.
100%. And
they were doing very well. And so I think Disney was very happy with the success of Villainous in the board game space, right? Yeah. I mean, and we, guys, we've talked about board games, card games, and kind of the different markets essentially. And Villainous, for the most part, Villainous really kind of falls into that board game category. We kind of classify it ourselves as like a card game, right? However, I think if you look at it from a market standpoint, it falls pretty squarely in the board game space. Okay. Again, from a marketing standpoint, right?
I understand what we're saying.
Yeah, right. Whether or not we agree is
I understand the words that you were saying.
I understand the words that are coming out of your mouth. All right, so again, there was an existing relationship between Ravensburger and Disney, and from all accounts, Disney was very happy with the success of Villainous and the work that Ravensburger was doing on the product. Okay, now an interesting thing that I've thought about recently, was I remember when Villainous came out, there seemed to be relatively consistent releases of expansions. Okay. However, over the past year and a half, I think those slowed down. Once they started doing Marvel Villainous, the questions were being asked by people within the Villainous community, like, why are we getting Marvel? Why aren't we seeing Disney stuff? Yeah. And I'm curious. I'm very interested to know if Lorcana had an impact on Disney Villainous expansions. I would venture to guess yes. Because my assumption is that there had to have been people who were working on Villainous who switched over to the Lorcana team.
Right.
And if that's the case, like that would make sense as to why you weren't seeing more Villainous expansions
Could
Right.
it also be a reason as to why a lot of people think the later expansions kind of fell off in terms of quality
Could be.
as well?
That could be because again, these articles that we've touched on in other videos, they've mentioned that Lorcana, they've been working on Lorcana for about 2.5 years, up to this point, I believe, which again makes sense to me, right? From everything we know about TCGs, they take a long time to design. They take a while to go through R&D, essentially. Okay, so it takes time, right? So that's actually a very good point. That's interesting to think about. I'd be very interested to know because again, it's from Ravensburger, and I also would like to know, and this is something I do not know, but who had the initial idea of a Disney trading card game? Like
Richard Garfield.
Yeah. True statement. But what I'm wondering is if Ravensburger went to Disney or if someone from Disney came to Ravensburger and said, "Hey, we want to do a TCG."
Yeah.
I could have sworn, I don't know where I saw this. It was either an article or some Discord chat I was a part of, but I could have sworn I saw something that said it was somebody from Disney approached Ravensburger because they were very happy with what Ravensburger was doing with Villainous, that they were like, "Hey, we've got a good partnership. We think you guys would be the perfect team to help bring this to life." I have zero confirmation on any of this, but I'm just curious. I'm curious as to where the genesis, who was the genesis point for this idea? Because I mean, it's not an original idea, right? Because TCGs have been around for forever, and it's like, why haven't we seen a good Disney one? Right. Yeah. Well, or a Disney one. See, I don't even know, but prior to this, if there has been forget successful, because we know that answer is no. But have they tried it before? Yeah.
So back when everything was having a card game,
yeah.
I don't think Disney had a card game.
Really?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain they didn't. Which, I mean, even if we're talking 20 years ago, they still could have done it.
They could have, yeah.
Right? They still had a bunch of IPs. But if they were just trying to follow the trend of just having a card game, to have one, it definitely wouldn't have done well.
Well, because a lot didn't. A lot didn't.
Oh, yeah.
A lot didn't.
Oh, yeah.
A lot fell off.
It was 90% of them just died off.
Yeah, yeah.
And 100%, I think if Disney tried to get it in there just to make a card game, it wouldn't have been good. And them waiting, figuring out what's exactly going on at the market, and even having the Villainous stuff as well to kind of be testing things. I think that really helps.
I think it did. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? This brings up a good point too. Did you watch the professor's video?
Oh, I didn't watch that.
All right. This
live reaction.
This is a we're gonna link the professor's video. If you're not familiar, Tulare Community College, the professor, big into the TCG community. Okay, very big into it. Okay, he recently put out a video. We'll link that video here. And if you're listening, check the show notes for this. But he recently put out a video. And in the video, he essentially pointed out, he answered the question, is Disney Lorcana going to knock off Magic the Gathering? Now, we jokingly...
I thought you were going to hit with he answered the question, many
Magic the Gathering player. And he said this in the video. He did. He was like, many Magic the Gathering players.
I knew it. I didn't even watch the video.
If you've never seen any of his content, he does that a lot. He does that a lot. It's one of his calling cards. However, so the thumbnail is actually just the professor with the Lorcana cards with a big no, right? And so we jokingly mentioned this in our first Lorcana video, and we were like, I think I said, is Disney gonna take on Magic or something because of what was said, and we'll get into that in a second. But Jim was like, that's all right. They're not going anywhere, which we know they're not.
Guys, Pokemon's not going anywhere. Yu-Gi-Oh's not going anywhere. If these are your favorite games, Lorcana's not going to take them over.
No, Lorcana's. I don't think Lorcana's going to take anything over.
Yeah. Just going to add something new.
Right. It's bringing something. It's bringing another game to the market. Okay.
If anything, I'm excited for it to hit like the top 6.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's going to take over Flesh and Blood, and I don't think it's going to take over Digimon. Digimon is huge.
Yeah, and I don't think. And see, that's the question. Like, is it go? I don't think anyone's leaving any card game for Lorcana.
Yeah.
Unless you're a big Disney fan. Like, I feel like that's going to be the only reason. Okay, but I'm kind of getting off topic first. But before we really dive into that, one thing that he mentioned in that video, he was like, and it was kind of a joke, but he was like, it's more likely to fizzle than sizzle, which is historically true. Like, that's the thing. It's historically true. Especially in that time period you were just talking about when everything was a card game. Like 90% of them died.
Yep.
Like 90% of them died.
Neopets had a card game.
Neopets?
Yeah, Neopets had a card game.
Dude, but that's like everything had a card game.
My Little Pony has a card game. No one plays it, but they collect the cards.
If you ever scroll through Facebook, just go to, there's plenty of Facebook groups and communities like this, but they're like, dead trading card game communities.
World of Warcraft. You could go to TCG Player, look at like all of the categories inside that they have, and it's like, oh, look at all these dead card games, but you can still buy stuff for it.
Yeah, you can.
They still allow you to buy from there.
Yeah.
But there's so many dead ones.
There is. And the thing about getting into a dead card game is the supply is trying to find the cards too, right? And so that's a whole other topic, right? Is the supply and demand and just the market essentially, right? And with dead card games, it's all secondary market essentially. But you know what? That's I think that is a benefit to TCGs and CCGs is secondary markets.
100%.
Because it gives you a market incentive to be buying and selling.
Yep.
Right. So, but that's a whole other topic, right?
Which I love.
I agreed. Right. And that's one of, like Jim said, that is one of the things that we enjoy. Jim more so than I do, for sure. However, so again, the professor's video, I thought he hit the nail on the head, especially when he said it's more likely to fizzle than sizzle. Again, historically true. Like whether or not, again, we know nothing. For the most part, we know nothing about Lorcana right now.
Yeah.
Like if you had to bet, again, take in historic data, if Lorcana is going to succeed or it's going to fail, historically, you would win the bet if you said it's going to fail. Historically
I'm not
speaking.
a gambling man.
However, recently with the recent resurgence of TCGs and CCGs, many of them that have come out have been doing an exceedingly good job at the design of the game.
Yep.
So recent Flesh and Blood is a perfect example. And so I don't know if Flesh and Blood is an anomaly or if that is, if there's more factors that go into the Flesh and Blood success. I think there are, particularly with how Flesh and Blood operates kind of as a company and their focus on the community itself.
Yeah.
So I think that is in part of why Flesh and Blood has been so successful.
I think another crazy thing about Flesh and Blood is there's not really any other card game it's like.
Yeah.
It doesn't really remind me of anything.
Yeah.
You have true. Like this completely different battle phase with the chain set up.
Chain, yeah.
You have these equipments, which, I mean, I guess you could say is what kind of like enchantments from Magic, but like you get those at the start of the game. You utilize them however you want, and they can be offensive or defensive. And pitching the cards from hand for cost, and it doesn't go to graveyard. It goes to this other discard zone that then gets put back to the bottom of your deck. So you're kind of stacking your deck.
It's very unique.
Flesh
and Blood is very, very unique. Yeah.
And then like you take a look at Digimon, which is also popping off, and that's a lot like Pokemon, right? So, and the crazy thing is every time you evolve, you draw a card, which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it is.
It's super fast as well. And Digimon used to have a card game. no one really played it. It died off. Same thing with Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super card game that's out now, and that one's doing phenomenal as well.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I think the TCG markets and the TCG games, right? With that resurgence, like this resurgence has come from. It's not like it's out of the blue. It was these games have tried things before, found things that didn't work, and then just reevaluated and redesigned, and then figured out what worked, and then they are finding success.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean every card game that comes out is going to be hitting right now.
Right.
I know MetaZoo is a newer one that came out a few years ago, but I don't know anyone that plays it.
Yeah. Right.
I know of one store that stocks it, but I think they're trying to get out of it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
outside of the internet, I don't know anyone who plays MetaZoo. I mean, in this area, and you would know more about this than I do, but in this area, I haven't seen even a lot of MetaZoo product.
I only know of one
stores.
I only know of one in Tinley.
Okay, yeah. That's very interesting. And see, I thought MetaZoo has been around for a little bit longer. Has it really just been a few years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's been too long. Maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
But I don't really think longer than that.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, the Lorcana being more likely to fail than succeed, again, historically true. It's historically true. However, with what we've been seeing in the TCG and CCG markets recently, there have been a lot of games that have been finding renewed successes. Okay. And I think that's also, it's two things, right? It's these games that have come out. Okay. They've been doing, the design and the rule sets have I feel like they've evolved, right? Because again, 90s back in the day, you just saw reskins of all these other games. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. Nobody was trying things new. Now, with all of these games that we've just talked about, they're all extremely unique. Yeah. They're all very unique. Even we've been getting a lot into Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy trading card game. Yeah. Okay. That's very similar to Magic, but it's still unique.
Yeah.
It is still unique. In the card game space, okay? There are similarities, and the first time I picked it up, I noticed quite a few similarities to Magic, which to me is not a bad thing, because I think Magic is I think Magic is one of the fundamental trading card games, okay, that has seen success after success after success. Yep. And if you're building a new game, a new card game, why not start with one of the most successful ones in the entire industry, right? So I saw all of these similarities, but all this different flair within Final Fantasy. It's still its own thing. Yeah, it's still its own thing.
The one thing about Magic I see is like it's easy to learn, but it's hard to master.
And I think if you have a game that's like that, you're going to do very well.
Yeah.
And the big three, the big three are kind of like that. You can speak more to Yu-Gi-Oh than I can, but Magic and Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Magic and Pokemon specifically, they're very easy to pick up.
Yeah.
But if you want to do very well, like you can really get into the nitty-gritty. Yeah. You can very, very much get into the nitty-gritty. And like when you have a game like that, you are appealing to a wide audience, okay? Because if it's easy to get into, that's perfect, because that means like anybody can get in and sit down and learn to play a game and have fun, right? But then you want that strategic depth for those more strategic players and the ones who want that challenge. That's there, and that is what I am looking for in Lorcana. Okay. And everything that's been put out in all these articles, they're all about, they want to appeal to a wide audience. Okay. They want it to be fun, but they also want to have that depth, that strategic depth. I'm like, perfect. Like if Lorcana can manage to do that, then they're going to get a lot of people hooked.
Yep.
Okay. So talking about, similarities, right, between Magic, right? I'm already seeing a lot of similarities, and many people are seeing the similarities of Lorcana to Magic, right? In these articles, you are an Illuminator, and again, in the professor's video, he's like, "You're a Planeswalker." Oh, I mean, you're an Illumineer.
You're in the Illuminati.
Yeah, but you're in the Great Illuminary, and I believe you are considered to be an Illumineer. Okay. Which again, Magic, you are considered to be a Planeswalker, right? So it's like even in the storytelling, they are coming at it almost from a Magic standpoint, right?
One thing I did mess up when I first started playing Magic is when I found out like I was a Planeswalker.
Yeah.
Right, and then I was like, "Oh, this card kills Planeswalkers, so I should just win."
Kill you?
I could just take you out.
Did you really think
that's
that?
what I thought it did? And then someone's like, "Okay, yeah, you're a Planeswalker, but no." I'm like, "All right, I believe you." Like this card would have been broken.
Yeah. So I want to read this from one of the articles. I think this is from one of the Polygon articles.
Okay.
All right, the basic idea is there is this place called the Great Illuminary, said brand manager Ryan Miller, a veteran of Wizards of the Coast, who also helped design the gameplay of Disney Lorcana. It's a treasury of all the Disney songs and stories ever made, all the characters, the Great Illuminary, okay? And it's where they're kind of recorded. The players take on this role of an Illumineer, this powerful sorcerer that has the ability to bring these characters to life off the page. Players will be bringing a band of their favorite Disney characters together to adventure in this world. Again, if you're familiar with Magic and the lore behind Magic, it's extremely similar to the lore, okay, behind how Magic the Gathering works, okay? So again, in there, and again, this makes sense, right? One of the designers is Ryan Miller, a veteran of Wizards of the Coast, R&D. So he's already been involved, which when I saw that, my first reaction when I saw that they're making a card game and it was Ravensburger, I'm like, oh boy.
Dan's like, it's going to be bad. He's like, this game sucks.
And the reason I said that was, we've played a lot of Villainous, okay? Yeah. And we've had many discussions about this. Go watch any of our Villainous content and you'll see. But we were reading the cards and we're like, man, if this was a card game, this is terrible templating. Yeah. It's so ambiguous. Like you don't know what this stuff does.
It doesn't even say what it does.
Right. It doesn't say. One of the things in card gaming, right, is reading the card explains the card, right? Yeah. What does the card do? And if I can't figure that out from the card, then it's design. I think it's designed poorly. Would you agree?
Oh yeah.
So if I can't figure out what the card does by reading the card, and I have to go to BGG and find a random thread of someone explaining it, then I think it was designed poorly. Okay, and we had to do that a few times, right? Which again, it's a true statement. Like, I'm sorry, but it was a true statement.
At this point, it's just like an ongoing joke about
we
don't know what the card does. Go to BGG, look up page 6, and it'll tell you what it does.
And so honestly, I think it's a double-edged sword because BGG is a great resource. Okay, however, being card game players, I don't want to have to use anything as a resource. I want to be able to understand from the card itself what it does.
Yep. And we do understand that, like, especially for Magic, right? Like, there's different layers upon things. And, like, it can get really tricky figuring out when something happens specifically versus, like, oh, this card just doesn't tell me what it does. Yeah. And now how does it even work with this other effect that I have?
Right. So, and again, we're talking about Villainous, right? Which isn't considered a card game. It's considered a board game, right? But when you're talking about card games specifically, you shouldn't have to do that. Like, you should just be able to, which again, there's also plenty of times, like even in Magic and any card game where it's a complicated effect. Yeah. What it comes down to is understanding the rules system to know what specific words mean and how it correlates to game rules. Yeah. Right. So, and that was kind of our biggest complaint was because we're card game players, we interpret things a certain way and we see certain words. Yeah. With our history with card games, we know when you see whenever, that means X, right? Or whatever the case may be.
Side note, side rant. Dress down should get rid of Dryad effect. Makes no sense that it doesn't. end rant.
That's a yeah.
It makes zero
It
sense,
doesn't,
dude.
It gets rid of one of the effects, but doesn't get rid of the other.
Yeah, I know.
It's so
Makes
weird.
it where you can't play another land. But it's like,
But it still turns. But I can
literally dress down whenever people are talking about its ruling. It's like it gets rid of the text box of the card. Then why is all of his lands every land?
Dude, it is so weird.
I hate it so
It's
much.
so weird.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the rule?
It was a rule layer ruling.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Layers.
yeah, that's
what
why
it
I
is.
brought up the
It's
layers earlier.
That's what it is. Yeah. So there's a complicated ruling in Magic, and it's called layering, like of how these steps work. And again, we're talking about Magic, which how long is their rule set? Like 300 and
It's a lot.
It's like 300 and some odd pages.
Yeah.
Okay. Which again, we're talking about Magic, a game that's been around for 30 years.
I think there's over like 400 kind of different generic rulings, but inside of that, it could be like 40A1B or something like that. And then it's 41A and then 41C and something like that. It would just get ridiculous.
I am of the opinion if if you're a card game player and you understand the Magic rule set well, like you have a very good understanding of how the Magic rules work, you can understand just about any card game.
Yeah. You know, the weird part about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that there are some cards that miss timing. So if something states like you may do something, but a mandatory effect goes on the stack into the chain while that could also be happening, you miss out on your may ability.
Really?
Yeah. For Magic, it's like, all right, well, it just all goes on the stack, and you kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
So, like, the chain for Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the stack for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very different. And once the chain starts to resolve, you can't stop it and try to do something new.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yu-Gi-Oh's weird.
Yeah. So we're kind of talking about complexity of rule systems, right?
Yeah.
Which we don't know anything about the Lorcana rules yet.
But they make it seem like it's going to be semi-easy.
Yes.
Relatively easy.
Yes. And so one of the things that they've said, okay, they've brought in the analogy of chess, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, they don't want it to be as competitive as Magic, which again, anytime somebody brings up competitive level, competition level, like I'm curious as to what exactly they're meaning, because beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
It could also be a complexity thing.
Well, right. But that's the thing. It's like, what are you talking about? Because when you say competition, that's really all depend. Somebody said, "Dude, I've played in Uno competitions." Like, okay, like
cool,
that's cool. So like that's all. It's
competitive.
It's dependent upon who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, so you can have somebody who takes Uno super competitively. Right. And then you can have somebody else who's like, whatever, dude, it's Uno. Right. So when they say competition level, I'm wondering what they're referring to.
They're not going to have any Pro Tours.
But I'd agree.
do.
I'd agree. They do want to support organized play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to read another part of an article that I found here. So they say Magic, I would say, has a very high competition level, said Ryan Miller. People love that about Magic. We have pulled back from it. I wouldn't say that we're competitive in any sense. It's definitely a strategy card game, but I would say that we've pulled back the confrontation level because we feel that will appeal to a lot more folks. So if you think of chess as the highest confrontation level you can get, we're a bunch of notches behind that because we want people to have fun with these characters that they love so much. So again, my response to that would be, you can how do you do that? Because again, that's all dependent upon who's playing and how cutthroat they want to be.
That's partially why I think of it like they're in terms of complexity rather than competitiveness. Because it's like, all right, well, if we are making it now,
if you remove complexity, I feel like you're gonna alleviate some of that confrontation level a little bit,
because I think that makes sense.
Right, because if the more complex you make something, I feel like the more arguments you're gonna have about interpretations of how it works.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I get that. That makes sense.
Make it as like easy as possible to pretty much figure out things.
And that is where you get to the design of it. It's threading that needle of making it easy, but making sure that there's depth there for the people who want that strategic depth.
Yeah.
So the more we find out about this, I'm very intrigued. I'm very interested to look into how complex it's going to be. Because for me, and I know it's the same with Jim. We get into the weeds with these games, and like we get as deep as we can because we don't stay at the surface level.
Yeah.
Like we get very, very deep into the strategy of these.
Yeah.
Because that's fun. Like for me, that's fun. Right. And so when they say, like when I hear Ryan Miller talk about fun, like that's good. Like I like hearing that. Like when your goal is to make sure your player base is having fun, then you're going to succeed. I think when people are having fun, then you as the designer, then you succeed.
Yep. Right.
And so for them to take that like by the horns essentially and be like, well, this is what we want. We want everybody to have fun. Then I think they're going to do well. So I'm interested. I'm very intrigued.
I guess you could also then say it's like, all right, well, if they dumb down the game a little too much, then it gets rid of the fun aspect could get rid of the fun aspect for a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's why I say like it's there's that very fine line of they got to thread that needle.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do. It's very hard to do. But I mean, again, like I think of Pokemon, and I think Pokemon is going to be a very good
indicator.
Analog, like of
easiness.
I think Lorcana is going to be more similar to Pokemon than it is going to be to Magic, from the standpoint of collectability. Number one, because I think more people collect Pokemon cards than play Pokemon.
100%.
Okay? But when you talk about Magic, more people play Magic than they collect the cards, right? Yeah. From that standpoint, but also I compare Pokemon to Magic, right? Pokemon is a dumbed down version of Magic.
Yeah.
Okay. So that complexity level, Pokemon is a few notches below Magic.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, again, they're coming right out and saying it, that they want Lorcana to be notches below Magic.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I think Lorcana is probably going to be more closely associated with Pokemon than it's going to be.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because I would love for there to be another like collectible card game. Because like we were kind of just saying, Pokemon people collect it more than they're playing it, right? So I think having another card game that brings a completely different pool of people inside the community, and
more collectors and players.
Yeah. I would also like to dip my toes into that market though.
Because Jim wants to make more money.
I like this stuff. And I want to get into Pokemon more, dude. I've been doing more stuff with Pokemon at work, and I'm just like, man, I could be doing great.
Yeah. Yeah. But like it's a good thing because I think Lorcana isn't going to bring in new all right. How do I want to say this? I don't think Lorcana is going to bring in more strategy card game players.
Yeah.
I think Lorcana is going to bring in people who like to collect Disney cards and then transition them from collecting the cards to playing the card game.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yep.
And I think they're more likely to do that because, again, we know nothing of the rule set, right? But I don't think there's going to be people leaving Yu-Gi-Oh! To play Lorcana, leaving Pokemon to play Lorcana, or any of these games. I don't think anyone's going to leave an established card game to play Lorcana. But I think there's going to be plenty of people who are going to be collecting these cards because they like Disney.
Yep.
And then if it's a well-designed game, like that's the benefit. Like that's the added bonus is, hey, this is a fun game. I've got these cards I'm collecting. Let's sit down and play. Okay. Or just make proxies and, because you're a Disney fan, right? And we said this in our Everything We Know About Lorcana video, but the fact that it's Disney, right now, I think that's its greatest selling point is the fact that it's Disney.
Yeah.
We talk about Magic, right? And they're going on 30 years. They're having their 30-year celebration soon. You know what anniversary Disney is celebrating? 100 years.
Oh my God.
So 30 years, which is a long time for Magic, right? But Disney as an IP, 100 freaking years.
It's a lot.
Dude, like I'm sorry, but Magic can't hold a candle to that.
Yeah.
That's saying something, dude. So you have a storied history with the Walt Disney Company. Okay. There's a lot of people heavily invested into anything Disney.
Yeah.
Anything Disney.
I'm just gonna buy Disney stock when I'm able to buy this card game.
Yeah, so you're gonna get a lot of people in because they love Disney, or they've got kids who who like it as well. Right.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's Disney and they've got 100 years of storytelling, right?
Bunch of the different art that they're going to be able to make for these cards.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing is that they've already stated that they have like the planeswalker cards, whatever you want to call them, the creature cards.
Yeah.
But then you're also going to have original artwork in terms of for the rest of their abilities, right? So
What do you mean? What
they
are
were
you saying?
There's going to be original artwork for added cards to like the scheme of whatever the person is.
Oh, I mean, are you referencing the statement that they said this will be the and this will be the single product that has the most original artwork?
Yes,
that's what it was. Yeah. Which again makes total sense because it's a card game.
Yeah. So not only are they going to be able to utilize all the artwork that they already have from the
I don't think they're going to do that.
stuff.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think every card is going to be original artwork.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I mean,
that's what I think.
It's definitely a possibility, but could they also take from previous things? Yeah.
They could. I don't think they will, though. And what I think they'll do is, the artist will probably use all of that artwork as inspiration or basis, for new artwork. Right. Like the brave little Taylor card. I mean, I don't know if that's from a frame. It was one of the original Mickey cartoons. It was one of the first. It was one of the first Mickey cartoons.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Steamboat Willie was Mickey's first appearance, I believe. I think the Brave Little Tailor was the first Mickey cartoon.
Okay.
I think. Don't quote me.
All right. So the only thing I was like really bringing up is like, all right, not only could they have the older pictures of everything, but they're also going to have new original artworks as well for this stuff.
Yeah, I think
so
everything's.
It's just they have a wide
artwork.
variety of stuff that they will be using.
Yeah, 100 years, 100 years worth of lore.
Yeah.
and IP to work with.
Yeah.
There's so much content there. Like it.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine like working with a company that has this wealth of knowledge to just draw from, wealth of IP? I mean, I don't even know what to call it, right?
Yeah.
There's just so much stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's
like, where do you start? All right, let's pick a few different archetypes and what goes well with Ghost. Pirate? A Halloween-themed Mickey.
Well, like that's interesting too because
Turn
it's like
Pluto into a ghost.
Like
I don't know.
Again, I want to ask Ryan Miller, how do you design a card game?
Yeah.
With a with an IP that's been around for 100 years. Like, is it easier to do that or is it harder to do that?
Yeah.
Because like Magic,
I think it could kind of be easier because
I don't know.
Because you can kind of just go off of what do we want the card to do, and then like, okay, who kind of does that, and then just give them a new artwork.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, it could definitely be both. It's like, all right, let me look through all of these photos we got. Could we do something with this?
Yeah,
All right, cool.
Yeah.
But if we can't,
there's
let's make
this
something.
one movie. Let's see. I need a bear. Oh, there didn't Brother Bear. All right, we've got a lot of bears in this movie. Like
They're tutus, Dan.
Yeah.
They're tutus.
It's a tutu grizzly bear. Well, that brings. You know what? I wonder how many bears there are throughout Disney history. There's a lot. I'm thinking of.
Pooh.
There you go. That's another one. Yeah.
I guess you could say he'd be
Winnie
shitty.
Winnie the Pooh is going to be a tutu, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm calling it now. Winnie the Pooh is going to be a tutu.
Pooh's going to be a tutu.
It's going to be a tutu.
Oh, what's the one from Jungle Book?
Baloo is going to be a tutu.
He's going to be a tutu.
Let's see.
That's all I know.
We've got who are some other bears?
I don't know.
We've got the bear from
Bare Necessities. That's Baloo.
Goodness gracious. The Pixar Brave. There was a couple of
little
bears.
yeah.
Well, there's a lot of bears in that movie.
Oh, okay.
The mom turns into a bear. The brothers all turn into a bear, and then you had that one prince.
Dude, spoilers, man. I ain't seen this movie.
Bro. Surprise, right?
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of bears
Yeah.
in Disney history, but in any case, they're all going to be tutus. Calling it right
Yeah.
now. If they're not tutus, then something's
What is
wrong.
that guy doing?
What are they doing?
He had one job.
Yeah. So speaking of, we think it's just going to be Walt Disney Animation Studios right now. We're pretty sure. They're not doing anything like Star Wars, Marvel. Again, Disney owns many properties, which I saw a meme. Okay, we were talking about the professor's video, right?
Yeah.
And basically, it's okay. He wasn't saying bad things about Lorcana. He was just laughing off the idea that Lorcana is going to take over Magic, which I think that's a laughable thing too.
Yeah.
Like, come on. We're talking about a game that's been around for 30 years. This new game, yes, is based on an IP that's been around for 100 years.
That doesn't mean anything.
Correct. Like in the TCG space, it means zero things. Yeah. Okay. I do think that that's laughable. Yeah. I think that, we really think Lorcana. It's not, okay? That is it is laughable. But anyway, there was a meme. If you haven't seen South Park, they bring in Mickey Mouse.
Dude, that Mickey's so funny.
The Mickey in South Park is hilarious. So anyway, somebody put the meme. They took that picture and it's like, what's Tulare Community College? Do we own that?
Do we own that?
because Disney owns so many things, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that I had to laugh.
Yeah.
I had to laugh when I saw that because it's true.
Good.
It's true. So, I'm excited about this game, right? And I'm not seeing a lot of stuff that's giving me pause. The only thing that really gave me pause was initially when I saw that it was Ravensburger. Yeah. That was the only thing. But then when I saw who's heading it, again, I don't know much about Ryan Miller, but if you worked in Wizards R&D for 10 years, I think he was there for 10 years.
Yeah.
Then I think he's got to have seen a lot of good stuff. He's got to have seen a lot of good stuff. So I'm excited.
Probably the one that let Oko get through. So we might get an Oko, guys. We might get one.
Oh, dude, that's great. That's great. One thing that was said, I believe this is the Ravensburger CEO. But he had a quote. Okay, he said, "This game is probably the largest potential that Ravensburger has ever gone after." Frank said, Philip Frank, I believe, is the CEO of Ravensburger. He said, and hence also probably the largest investment that we have ever done into any type of project and initiative. So they're putting I think Ravensburger and Disney both are putting a lot of money into this. Yeah. I mean, I think
I also
I think it's a
he's
safe.
right.
I think it's a safe bet. Like I think this is a safe bet for Ravensburger and Disney.
Yeah.
Because I think Disney, as a company, they don't take. I don't think they take a lot of gambles. I don't think they take a lot of chances. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, aside from whenever they make like a new Disney princess, I think they kind of just like recycle stuff, right?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Whenever they just make a new Disney princess.
Well, when's the last time they made a new Disney princess? Who was the?
Who was
it
the last
Moana?
one?
Was
I think
Moana?
Moana.
Moana was the.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago.
No,
but
it
was.
wasn't.
It was
It
a few
wasn't.
years ago.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, what before that? Elsa,
Tiana.
Tiana.
Yep.
Really?
I remember Tiana. Now I can't remember
I
if
thought
Tiana
was
was before Anna and Elsa.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember.
What about the Wreck-It Ralph kid?
Vanellope?
Yeah, that one.
Vanellope
The one with the
Vanellope
glitch.
von Schweetz?
Yeah, the glitch.
You know what? Are we gonna see Wreck-It Ralph cards?
I
mean, that's Walt Disney. That's
hope
Walt
so.
Disney Animation Studios.
I think so. We'll see it eventually.
That'd be sick. That'd be sick. I'm telling you, like, I think I really think you're going to get a lot of people buying these cards who aren't going to play the game just to buy the cards. Okay. So, do you think Disney's going to want to control the secondary market? Because again, if it's a TCG or a CCG, there's going to be a secondary market.
They're going to make
somebody.
a reserve
So,
list.
well, somebody. I think I posted one of our videos into some Facebook group or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but somebody commented and was like, Disney plus TCG booster packs, cash grab. We're going to see $15 booster packs. I wanted to be like, dude, trust me, that's nothing.
Well, we might, but I think it's going to be like a collector thing, like a collector booster for $15.
I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think. I don't know. I don't know if Disney would do that. They probably would. Let's be real.
I'm just saying it's definitely a possibility if Magic has already done
But
it.
my response was going to be, that's why I don't advocate for buying boosters.
Yeah.
Just buy singles.
Buy sealed products.
Just buy
buy
singles.
Buy singles.
You like? I'm not gonna lie. Like, I enjoy cracking packs, just like the
not
next
worth it.
person. But from a financial standpoint, it's not worth it.
Hell, especially if you smell the cards as soon as you
Oh,
open them.
dude.
Oh, it's the best
That's
part.
the best. That is the
best
best. I mean, come on, guys. You know what we're talking about. Don't you know you do
No.
it? You know you do it.
You know.
Do I have it? I've got. There's actually some over there.
Got
that
some
I'm-
new packs.
We'll have to
Got some
grab.
new cards, Dan? You like to party?
You know, you do that. My wife and I just started watching a new show. It's called
Yeah.
Narcos.
Okay. Narcos.
About the drug cartel in Colombia,
Colombia.
Pablo Escobar. So it's the whole the drug war essentially.
Understood.
Yeah,
Understood.
it's pretty good so far.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you doing the
I just started collecting some new movies.
you did.
Yeah, I got The Mummy.
Ooh,
I got the Mummy
there you go.
collection
There you
with
go.
With my boy
Brendan Fraser. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
great-
making a
great dude.
resurgence. He's
I know.
making
I'm
a resurgence.
so happy. So like,
Everybody's
I wanna go back.
so happy, dude.
I want to go back and get his older movies. So
Those were good, man.
I started picking them up from work.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Those are great, dude. We got to watch them, man. You got to bring him here. We'll watch it on the big
I want to
screen.
watch Blast from the Past again.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, that
that's
movie's
a
so
great one.
good.
Yeah, that's a great
And I hear
one.
The Mummies is hilarious, and it's kind of like a
Yes.
D&D experience, which
Yeah,
I used to watch it.
That's a good one. I didn't realize that.
I watched it before, like when it first came out, but I haven't seen it in like 20 some years.
Yeah, it's been a long time,
99 it came out.
dude.
And so did Blast
Will
from
you-
the Past. That also came out in 99.
Did it?
This dude, all right. My
George
boy,
of the Jungle. George of the Jungle.
That
Dude.
was
great.
was phenomenal.
That was great. That was hilarious. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah. All right. Back to Lorcana.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay. First set is going to launch in the fall of next year, fall of 2023. The first set is going to be entitled Disney Lorcana, the first chapter. Makes sense. They are planning on having 4 sets a year. Is that Pokemon? Doesn't Pokemon have 4 sets a year? They have 3.
4 or 5. 4 or 5.
Do they have 4 or 5? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Magic is base set 4. They come out with 4 base sets.
We're not even.
What do you mean we're not
Dude,
going to talk about it?
They are. For crying out loud. So
You know what we should do?
at time of recording, hang on. At time of recording, what's the set that just came out? Oh, Dominaria United just came out.
I didn't even realize that set dropped. I was at the store.
Bro, they're
yesterday.
already talking about Brothers War, the next set.
Look,
they're already showing stuff for the. I'm like, holy.
Look,
are you kidding me?
I was just at Target yesterday, and I'm like, when did the set drop? I had no idea. And my sister's like, dude, you're out of the loop. How did you not know about that? I'm like,
well, but the thing is, it just came out.
Yeah.
It like just came out.
Yeah.
And now they're literally, I was on Twitter today and they're already talking about, I helped design this commander product for the Brothers War. If you know who it is, you know who it is. But I'm like, dude, we're already talking about the next set? Oh my
the last thing I knew about was they're like, oh, hey, we got a bunch of Legends set that we're going to open up and then put a random card inside. Oh, was that the set, Dominaria?
It was in Dominaria. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
I guess that's out now.
The professor did a box break of one of those, and he opened up a Legends pack.
Yeah.
He pulled the rarest card from that set.
Tabernacle?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he was like, get the sleeves.
Wow. Dude got rich.
And I think it was like a $3,000 card.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Play Magic, you can get rich. Or you can also get poor.
You could also definitely get poor.
That's more likely what's going to happen.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. All right.
Dan, I think it's time we talk about something.
And it's are we done? Is there anything else? Oh, the last thing I want to talk about. You're talking about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. The last thing I want to talk about, we did touch on the robust play system, which like that's a great thing. That is such a good thing for any new card game. Mm-hmm. Okay. If they're already saying that they want to heavily support a robust play system, then like that's exactly what a new TCG needs to be healthy, to maintain the community, and honestly to sell product.
Yep.
Like, but with this product and specifically, I don't think having a robust play system is going to be necessarily needed to sell product. Yeah. Because like we were talking about with how we think it's going to be close to Pokemon, like being a collector's thing, and there's also people who are going to have a problem with that. If they think, oh well, you're making a game for collectors, whether or not it's being made for collectors or not is not going to change the fact that collectors are going to collect the cards.
Yep.
It's not. It does not matter what the designers or makers of this game, if they're being like, well, we're making it for collectors. Again, because it's Disney, I think there's going to be people who are going to collect it because they collect Disney stuff.
Yep.
And so this article I opened, I think is clickbait. New Disney Lorcana card game is coming for Pokemon and Magic Gathering. No, it's not. Like it's not coming for it. But
dude, we could get so many views.
Well, I mean, they did state they're like, well, we've got Magic in our crosshairs or whatever.
Yeah.
Which again, I think when you're building something, start with what's been successful and build from there. Mm-hmm. And I think when you do that, you're going to set yourself up for success. Yep. So the fact that we're interested in a new card game that's already planning on having a robust play system is great news. And I think that is going to be one way that you maintain success, or you be successful, I should say. Mm-hmm. All right. I think that was it. Again, we touched on all the cards. If you want to see that video, go check that out. Jim's favorite is Elsa. Jim loves Elsa.
Yes.
I mean, when you tap it and then you tap something else is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, like if you think about it in terms of Magic, it's not even great.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention. Okay. In that video, both our videos, we touched on what we think The rule set is a little bit. There's this one part in a card. Okay, the bottom right part of the card. Okay, we'll show these cards on screen right now. But there's this one part of the card. It's the bottom right part of the card.
Pip.
Those pips.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people are saying they're ink spots or ink wells or whatever. We don't know what they are, but they're pips. Okay.
Yeah.
There's some cards have one, some have two, some have three, and I think there's one that even has four.
I think one has 4.
Yeah. Our initial speculation was that because we don't know the resource system. We don't know the resource system. So we think you pitch these cards for cost, and those pips in the bottom right of the card are how many resources you get when you pitch it for cost. Okay. That's kind of what we think so far. There was a comment on one of our videos where we said that. Someone was like, "No, you're wrong. You're dead wrong." Well, number one, if you're watching, how do you know? Like, are you privy to more information that we're not privy to?
If so, hit me up.
Yeah, same. But they did make it. They did offer up what they thought, and they think it's going to have to do with your win condition. Now, you made an interesting comment where you thought maybe it was going to be like it had to deal with your board presence, and you could only have so many of those pips on board at a time.
Yeah.
What they think was you need to have a certain number on board to win.
Oh.
So in order for you to win, you had to have like 20 pips or something on your battlefield or whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah.
And that's how you win.
Okay.
If that's the case, the Maleficent one of destroying something, that makes sense because that's actively, destroying your opponent's board and not making them win.
There's just a lot of information we don't know.
Exactly. That's the thing. There's so much information we don't know.
Yeah, I could definitely
I can see that. I can see that. I think that's actually
especially since we don't know how you win.
Yeah. And somebody also made a comment of they thought that would actually be more on brand for Disney. They didn't think that attacking your opponent for life points or whatever damage is very on brand for Disney, which I can see, like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see that. So it being more like, I was just say like solitaire.
Building an engine.
Yeah. Well, but again, when you have agency over your opponent's board, you can interact with them a lot more.
It would also mean Elsa isn't good.
True. True. Because if you're not stopping your opponent from like who knows? Or maybe it would be like on your upkeep, like it's on your upkeep. You have to have this many, unexerted, I guess, untapped, essentially. Could be.
I mean, if that is the case, then how does it work with having a toughness on your cards? If you don't have to worry about
why would you do that? Yeah, why would you do that? Well, no.
But be able to kill them? Or?
Yes, because that's how you would stop your opponent from winning. Is you take your creatures and you destroy their creatures. Okay, because like if you need 20 pips or whatever the case may be, if I'm eliminating your creatures, I am actively prohibiting you from winning the game.
Right.
Right. So that again, that's interaction, right? Yeah. And that's.
But then at that point, if you're killing your opponent's things, why do you have to build your own pips to then go win? Why can't there just be some other way to win then?
I don't know. Again, we don't know. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. But I thought it was a good point because I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
That's interesting. I don't know of any game that operates like that.
I would also like it less. If that's how I had to win.
Why do you say that?
Because I don't want to build my own boards like ever. I just want to get rid of your stuff. And I win eventually with like hitting you in the face for 2 damage.
Well, what I would say is, I mean, as a control player, I mean, you win in the end. Like your game plan is winning in the end eventually.
Yeah.
Right. So either you mill your opponent or whatever. like whatever that end game is gonna be. Maybe it's like 3 cards. I play this. I play this. I play. Okay, now I win.
Right.
You know.
Oh, yeah, true,
who knows? So
we'll find out. And
exactly,
it could even be other cards of like, say there's instants or sorcery speed cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those probably won't have pips at that point.
I would assume, yeah, because again, all we've seen is their creatures, essentially. Yeah, there's just so much we don't know. Yeah. That's the thing, and there's just so much there is so much speculation. Yeah. And if anyone says that they know, they don't know unless they're involved in the game.
Ryan Miller, hit us up.
Yeah, seriously. I emailed you. I did email you. I'm sure you're not watching this. Okay, you're probably not watching this. But if you are, if anyone from Ravensburger is watching, can you please tell Mr. Ryan Miller? I shot him an email. I will follow up with another email, but we would love to sit down for a chat with Mr. Miller 100%. And just kind of talk about the game. We're extremely interested, and we know that there's a lot of people interested. Speaking of, before we get to this, I do want to shout out there is a Disney Lorcana Discord that's pretty hopping right now.
Okay.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are involved in that Discord who are very excited for this game. Mm-hmm. I'll link an invite to check the show notes for the podcast. Check the description of this video. So I'll link that here as well. Go check it out, and go check out our Discord as well. We don't talk about it enough.
That Lorcana channel's popping too. There was like 3 people talking in it.
There are people involved in our community who are interested about this game as well. So that was the one thing that I really wanted to mention because it was new speculative information.
Okay. And also,
that I thought was interesting.
Also, if we can't get Ryan Miller to talk about it, we'll even take one of the janitors from the building as well, as long as he knows something. Like, we don't care who we talk to. Hit us up.
Yeah, hit us up, hobbiesandhappiness@gmail.com. Check the link in the description. Yeah, shoot us an email. Let us know. All right.
Dan, I think it's time.
Is it time? Is it time?
It's
All right.
time.
All right. Jim was very excited when he saw this card sitting on the desk.
I've been very excited since I've seen this card a few years ago.
Really?
Yes.
Well, when is the first time you saw this card? If you don't know, we're talking about the card of the week. We're talking about the card of the week. But
the card of the week. So when this game came out, I learned about it because this was from Opus 1.
So, and the interesting thing about this game is it was a re-release essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, because they came out with this game. Okay, we're talking about Final Fantasy. We're talking about the Final Fantasy card game. Yeah. So they originally came. I was looking this up the other day.
Okay.
They came out with this game. I think it was in Japan first. Years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they re-released it in the North American market.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they starting back with Opus 1.
Yeah.
And so that was a few years ago when they re-released it here in the US.
Okay.
Right. So that's probably when you saw it would be my guess.
Yeah, when it came to the US.
When it came to the US.
Yeah.
So Jim, why don't you talk about the card?
Oh, yeah. It's one of my favorite cards in the entire game.
It's such a cool card.
And one of my favorite characters in all of the Final Fantasy franchise. Yep. This is a little Taru from Final Fantasy 11. Her name is Shantoro. And this card is a backup 7-drop in Earth.
Which is, that's expensive. That's an expensive card.
So much, yeah.
But makes sense.
Yeah. So it's got a big mana cost because she's kind of a baller. It says, if Shantoro is on the field, Shantoro gains elements of fire, ice, wind, earth, lightning, and water, which means you can tap her.
Tap for any color.
Any of those colors.
Tap it for any color, basically.
Yeah. But the important part is when Shantoro enters the field, remove all forwards from the game.
Dude, it's so dope.
Just board wipe.
But it's more than a board wipe. It's not just send them to the break zone. It's they get removed from the game. It's removed from the game.
She's so
I thought it was a board wipe. And I'm like, oh, they just get sent to the break zone. All right. Yeah. There's plenty of ways that I can interact with my break zone. No. it gets removed from the game. So we're actually
the best thing you can do in games.
We're actually going to be doing. We've got some content planned for Final Fantasy. This game is so dope.
Yeah, it
I
is.
am dude. This game is so.
I'm not
so
good
sick.
at it. I'm not good at it.
But that's because But in his defense, that's because Jim has not been. He hasn't played with a good deck. Basically,
I haven't gotten to play with Birthing Pod yet.
yeah.
I haven't
Like
gotten to play with Birthing Pod.
we have at this point in our Final Fantasy TCG career, we've only really played with starter decks.
Yeah.
And that ends now because I have recently built. I've been looking into the metagame and finding some really cool decks, and I've got about like I don't know, like 4 or 5,
4 or 5,
6 maybe.
6.
We got some decks.
Hook me up with an aggro.
We've
deck.
got some decks, dude. We've got some decks, and they are, dude. They're so cool. This game is so much fun.
Yeah.
So Shantoto's a backup. Okay. We've actually talked about this game in a few other videos. We did talk about Birthing Pod, Cloud, one of Cloud's cards. You know, one of we were talking about this, I think, before we started recording this episode. Okay. The characters in Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Okay. Jim, what were you saying? What were you saying before? Because you were saying something about the characters. You were like, oh, I know what it was, because you know the Final Fantasy universe very well.
Yeah.
And you were like,
I don't know if I'd say very well. I know it.
You know much more than I do.
Right,
We'll say that. We'll say that. You were like, you didn't know like how some of these characters would work together, fit together, but they have a lot of different. They use the same character for a lot of different cards. And one of the interesting things about Final Fantasy is if you have like Cloud, if you have a Cloud card on field, you can't play another Cloud card unless you're in a format which allows it, which there are formats that allow that.
Blasphemy, dude.
But if it's they can't be the exact same card.
Okay.
So like you can have 2 Clouds, but they're different cards, but they're both named Cloud.
Yeah, different numbered, have different abilities.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So there are formats that allow that. I think Title is a format that does. But in any case, there are formats that allow that. But in general, like in most standard formats, you can't even play another card with that same name.
Yeah. That's honestly the most difficult part about this game. So coming from Magic, right? If you have a legend, which is the legendary rule, if you have a card out with the same name as the one you're about to play, you can sacrifice one of them to then still get off the ability.
If there's if there's an ETB or something, right.
Or you just want it to enter the field because now you want your card untapped, right? To where this, it's like, all right, well, I attacked or activated my ability. I can't play a new card. If I already have one Shantoto out, I can't play another Shantoto and be able to pop your board and then get rid of one of the Shantotos.
And Shantoto is actually, that's one where like if you've got multiple, you probably want to play it. So like you want ways to maybe sacrifice your own cards to certain effects to then be able to either get it back or play a different one. From your hand or something.
Or just block with everything, your board dies, and you're like, all right, now time to blow up your board.
Yeah. You know, Jim, I was just thinking, so I'm hoping that we're getting that there's people who are watching this video or listening to this episode of the podcast who are interested in Lorcana. Yeah. And who are like, oh, there's a Final Fantasy TCG.
You guys can collect this one too.
So again, we're all about card games, and like, guys, if you're interested in Lorcana, I think you should definitely check out Final Fantasy TCG. Because again, like there's a lot of people who are talking. They're like, you know, we don't want to. We're not trying to take people away from any of these other card games because I don't think you're going to. And I am all about getting more people into the TCG and CCG market. Like, let's get more people in this who are going to have fun with more card games, because I think the TCG and CCG market is a very niche place, and I think a game like Lorcana can help widen it out and open it up to a wider player base, essentially. And so expanding our player base is is perfect. Like that's exactly what we want as a player base. We want more people playing the games that we love. So if you're interested in Lorcana, you definitely need to check out Final Fantasy TCG. Yeah, so Shantotto is a very honestly, I think Shantotto is actually a pretty staple. Shantotto's
She's played in a lot of decks.
Exactly, a lot.
Yeah,
very, very, because there's again, I don't know how many board wipes there are. I mean, I think now that there are more, but Shantotto is like one of the first, and it's not just a board wipe either. It's a remove from game.
It's removed from the game. On top of that, she's also Omni.
Yeah, Omni
mana.
resources. Yeah.
That she's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of actually how it works inside the game for Final Fantasy 11. So she's a black mage, and she's able to cast all the different elements.
Oh, really?
So
So flavor win.
It's great.
Flavor win, dude.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's very cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. So Shantotto is this week's card of the week.
Yeah.
Jim, this is one of your favorite Final Fantasy cards.
Yeah, in the entire game, and it's also one of my favorite Final Fantasy games.
Oh, 11?
11.
11? Yeah. Have you played all Final Fantasy games?
I've played most of them. I haven't beaten all of them. I'm in the process of 10 right now.
What was the first Final Fantasy game you played?
11.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was 11.
8 was actually the first one I played.
Oh, yeah?
Final Fantasy
right.
8.
That's a lie. 10-2 was my first one, I think. I want to say I played 11 first.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You said 8 was for
Final Fantasy 8 was my first. I played that.
Squall?
It was Squall. I played that on the PS1.
Yeah.
I remember I actually had the demo.
Okay.
I got the demo first, and then I remember it was the multi-disc.
Yep.
I had the multi-disc ones, and I remember playing with Squall, and then
Did you have the black label or the green label?
black?
All right.
I had the black label. Yeah. I remember. I remember casting Shiva. The summons. I thought those animations that just look so cool.
Who was the summoner in 8?
I can't. It's been a long
I'm like,
time.
Yuna was the one in 10. I don't know the one in 8.
I think no, it was oh my goodness, I know it. I know it. I know it. Who was the summoner? Like the winter coat, like with off the shoulder.
Coat off the shoulder.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna find it, guys. I'm gonna find it right now.
I don't know.
Final Fantasy.
I don't know
8
a whole lot about Final Fantasy.
Summoner.
8. I know a little bit.
Come on.
I also like Red 13 from
Red
Final Fantasy
13.
7.
Yeah, Red
Final
13.
Fantasy 7.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna do this. Final Fantasy 8 character. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find it out.
Find it for you.
We're gonna find out because
Not for Dan.
This is killing me.
For you.
This is really, really killing me. Guys, this is I don't freaking know. I don't know, man.
Are you sure you're thinking of the right game?
Yes, I am. I'm gonna find it later.
Okay.
Goodness gracious.
We'll let you guys know later.
We'll let you know
in the next video.
But I remember Squall. I remember seeing his gun sword.
Yeah, the gun blade.
The gun blade.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Dude, it's
made
so
no
cool.
sense, but it was so
What do you
cool.
mean it made no sense? If there's a
gun and a
keyblade,
sword.
all right, there could be a gun blade.
That's right. I think I
That's
think
where I first
played
learned
Kingdom.
about Squall.
Really?
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah,
Really?
from Traverse Town.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the gunblade is so sick, dude.
Yeah, it is.
All of the weapons in like all the Final Fantasy series are just so cool.
Yeah,
They're
the Buster Blade in 7.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah.
What is Sephiroth's? Masa
Sephiroth. Oh,
Masamune? Something like that?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That is it's like 13 feet long. His sword is like
Yeah.
13 feet long.
Yeah. Sephiroth is dope.
Yeah, he is. One
So
of
is
the greatest
Cloud.
soldiers.
Yeah. Cloud and Sephiroth, like one of the greatest rivalries in like all of video games. Gotta be.
Yeah,
Gotta
I'd
be.
say so.
All right. Well, before we get off on our Final Fantasy tangent here,
Yes.
we're gonna bring this episode to a close. Before we get out of here, all right, I want to know two things. Are you excited for Disney Lorcana? Okay. And do you have any ideas? Do you have any ideas of what you think the rule set's going to be? What do those pips do? I want to know what you think.
How do you win the game?
How do you win the game? How do you play the game?
How do
we
you
don't really
lose
know.
the game? Deck out.
Scoop.
Scoop. What do you mean, Dan? They scoop.
Are you excited for Disney Lorcana? And what character are you most excited to see? Or not character? Like, is there an artifact, or is there a piece of Disney history you want to see embodied in the game?
Yeah.
Let us
I
know.
want to see John Smith.
John Smith.
Yeah, from Pocahontas.
Yeah.
I want to
Okay.
see John Smith.
You know what? Okay. Is there another character you want to see? Like
The little raccoon from Pocahontas.
Oh yes, Miko.
Miko,
I think his name's Miko.
And Grandmother Willow. I'd love
Grandmother
to see
Willow?
Grandmother
Yeah.
Willow from that.
I want to see Basil from The Great Mouse Detective.
Oh yeah.
Radigan would be a good one. Okay, so for me growing up, my favorite movie was Aladdin. Okay, so how many? Oh, Genie.
Genie.
How many genies? The lamp. The lamp. I want to see the lamp. Let's see the lamp as an artifact.
The lamp's going to be like, take a card from outside the game.
Yeah. If you don't know, in Magic, if it's wishing, there's a mechanic. It's called wishing, and you can take a card you own from outside the game, your sideboard, and bring it into the game. That's called wishing.
The lamp's going to allow you to wish.
You're going to put three counters. You're going to put three counters on it to get 3 wishes.
Yeah.
The magic carpet.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. Abu. Yeah, I mean, there's so much there.
Yeah.
So much there that you can just pull from.
Evil
Holy cow.
Genie Jafar.
Yes. Dude, we've got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of ideas. But very curious to see what Genie's gonna do.
I want to see Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, you do.
I just want to see her turn cards
card
sideways.
With the card cards?
If that's what she does, like I'm playing it. I'm playing it.
Yeah, 100%. And then Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Final Fantasy character, if you have one? Excuse me, man.
Shantaro.
Cloud, Sephiroth. There's a lot of great characters. Yeah. So let us know in the comments what you're most excited for about Lorcana, and then also Shantaro, Final Fantasy. Who's your favorite? Who do you want to see in the game? All right, Jim, where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Jim Morgan HNH.
You guys can find me on Instagram at Daniel.g.campbell, Twitter _DJ Campbell. Head over to our website, www.hobbiesandhappiness.com. You can find links to pretty much all our socials there, links to our YouTube, Facebook. I am starting to get more active on these platforms, trying to keep our community updated with what's been going on. I know we've been pretty quiet for a couple of weeks. We've been getting over some sicknesses, but we're back. We're healthy, and we've got there you go, healthy enough. Yeah, we've got content planned for you all. So check out our website. You can find links to everything there. You guys can follow us on just about all these social media platforms. And guys, we've got some stuff coming. I'm very, very excited for. Hopefully you'll be seeing a new stuff. Yeah, we're just gonna say you're gonna see stuff. You're gonna see stuff soon. All right, and now we're excited. I'm very, very, very excited for what's to come, and really excited for Lorcana. Really, kind of, really am. So, all right. Well, that's all we got for you this week. Thanks everybody so much for being here, and you know what? We'll catch you guys in the next episode. All right, see you, buddy.
Take care.